first ever match in Game 1 for MWI 2025. It's going to be Athena and Mirko here delivering the action for this match.
Yeah, action-packed draft there. We saw the analyst, Lofel as well, just unload on the draft. Wow,
yeah.
The Alice comes through. One of Chantel's, she did mention it in the draft beforehand, and we get to see it. I was one of the casters, actually, for Ramisi's performance in MWI 2024 when she was able to get a massive outplay on the Alice. But yeah, the big concern is there's no Angela here. So usually you have a big support to help the Alice. I guess they have found that Alice is pretty good even solo in scrims.
Yeah, they trust Ramisi enough to just go with the Alice even without the Angela. Chantel is on her A game today, especially with the predictions onto the draft. And as you've mentioned here for TLG, for the first two actually that they picked up, that was a very powerful Arlott pick and even the Fredrin. But looking at the emblem builds, more on the standard approach here, even for Team Liquid.
Really good stuff from Yinhuai there in the bottom lane. The Master Assassin definitely helping her to get the edge in the lane itself. It's a skill matchup, Granger versus Moskov. You would usually expect the Granger to have a bit more of an advantage in the lane, but so far Yinhuai, the rush straight to the Warrior Boots has given her a bit more defense, and with the Master Assassin, a bit more damage to take control of the lane.
You just want to survive. You just want a bit of that advantage, especially here with the emblem builds that they had. And Yinhuai, speaking of which, is actually somewhat tricky, or more on the tricky side here because of the linear damage here coming from Kla for the gold lane. But onto the top lane, it's going to be somewhat of a poke around here for Chokes and even Daiki. And let's talk about this XP laners. The option with the CC here for TLPH.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the CC. Yeah, it's good against the Fredrin, but there's just so much CC, as in crowd control on the other side, that can lock the CC down. It's a mouthful. Chokes already up top, getting help. Able to get the level 4. Daiki as well, able to get level 4. So far right now, Kinzaki is going to be the one forced into the fight. Jumps in with the Vengeance. Will get the stun too. Turtle can be reset. Now a taunt over. Retraction pulse. Locking him down, but look at the global ult now. Bay in the back line. Bay was fired and a massive bonk on the side. Saishi secures the turtle, but it is all TLG so far. CLA rotating over Bay. Flickers out the safety. Doesn't get through the wall. Saishi goes with laser beams. Finds the kill. Kinzaki still there. Flickers out. Goes back with the Vengeance. And it will be Daiki who gets the kill, and TLG are forced back.
That was a risk that Team Liquid was willing to offer. Yinhuai, on the other hand, I saw Spear of Destruction. It didn't hit anyone, so the extra damage wasn't there for TLG. But definitely, we could see the counter punch here for Team Liquid. That, for me, is actually a bit of a trade. Instead of getting nothing, they've got everything.
It was supposed to be a winning trade, but TLG, their composition, though they're really good in the all-in initiations, they're kind of just built for that, at least for now, right? Up until the Moskov maybe scales up, then they'll have more of a say in the longer team fights. But for some time, it'll really just be get in, get out. Long team fights definitely favor the two backliners, two MMs, and an Alice of TLPH.
Yeah, and for Team Liquid, the traction pulse is a beautiful setup here for Zaishi as well. And we could also observe on how Daiki places herself on the bushes, preventing anyone from TLG just giving those information. And speaking of which, there's info here on the bottom side, wherein they're trying to find someone to easily pick up. But anyone from the side of TLPH is not easy to get it alone. Aside from Daiki, of course, it's going to be down to the XP. But speaking of which, for Tidal Legends Gaming here, Mirko, we're seeing a lot happening. They want to achieve more with the setups, as we mentioned. They have a lot of crowd controls. But what's the next plan here? What do they need to do in order to totally dominate the clashes as well?
For TLG, they just got to be in and out real quick. They got to play for Yinhuai to scale up to get to those items. So far, doing pretty good, but CLA actually has a pretty good lead on Yinhuai right now. That's almost a whole level in the gold lane. Only a concussive, or a corrosion side, sorry, for Yinhuai now picked up. And Team Liquid are doing a good job at playing around the turtle, just dancing around, forcing TLG to use their resources to secure it.
And even the panel mentioned that Team Liquid is actually good at macro, especially onto the dancing here, onto the turtle, another traction pulse!
Oh, final slash going to be cancelled out, even though it lands on the back line. Caught down with the curtain call, good deal from Chokes, but Bay's taking a lot of damage. Big grab of the SOD doesn't land. Ramisi blowing blood into the back, finding the angle. to split Tidal Legends Gaming, and that becomes a free turtle to TL.
It's going to be another big objective. Ramisi just going on to the back. I don't need anyone to support me. I'm going to support you guys. I'm going to support you ladies all throughout the round. And now, the advantage should totally steal down the purple buff as well. TLG is bleeding right now.
It's massive. They can't even find a trade on the other side. It's more capitalization from Team Liquid. Running wild in the game. CLA picking up a turret down below. Now a Sky Piercer too. And if the fights have, if the fights continue to go how they've been going, CLA are just going to pick it up. Another Sky Piercer. Well, the first one of the game so far, but that could be the start of a big snowball.
And that is what we're talking about, that Team Liquid, in paper, you have the Purify or somehow a counter for their setups because of this Zetian. But looking at the goal difference you mentioned, that's a huge lead this early for Kla, and it's reflecting. Even if they switch off YNY onto the top lane, there just isn't any space for her to totally maximize being a Moscow for the global presence. Instead, they're being cornered right now by Team Liquid.
I thought it was going to be tough for Kla and Zaishi, honestly, in this game, knowing how good the Arlet can be when it's a pure fly. Wait, Ramisi just didn't take any damage there. She just took it, and TLG literally don't have a way to threaten. Oh, double Sky Piercer. Zaishi picks it up as well. Kenzaki with the conceal already. Global ult comes down. Final Slice doesn't land. The current call locks him down. Kenzaki will be gunned down. One of the Sky Piercers getting it now. Claw picks it up. The AOG into the midst of it all. As Bay is forced back. Another flowing blood, forcing Burnout to walk away. Claw with a triple. YNY with a Spear of Misery to push her back. But Claw walks back in. Daiki taking the shots for Claw. Body blocking.
That's a triple kill here. It's a hefty damage delivered onto TLG. And talking about that Arlot, yes, you have those perfect crowd controls, but where's the perfect landing? It just isn't connecting right now, Mirko. And all in all, for Team Liquid, they're just waiting for the errors, and they're maximizing each and every clash with the AOG here. Especially for Team Liquid, just going on to dominate this first game. And looking at our insert replay, there's the ultimate, there's the Fear Phoenix, but what's happening is that there's just too much to handle here, especially for the damage here from Kla.
I'm really not a big fan of the Arlet pick in Rome, right? We saw it early on, and I was already talking to you, you're mentioning in the caster desk, that the Fredgen Arlet combo was just so, like, it was so... It's so good, firstly, but it was also, for them, so honest. The fact that they banned out Phobius and went straight for the Fredgen Arlet means that, again, this was what they had planned. The fact that they had to flex it to Rome, pick up the Lapu Lapu, I think was a bit forced. Like, it really felt forced. They had a good composition already. I think it was just because they needed to deny more picks away from TL. They didn't want the Lapu on the hands of TL, but actually has now given them another damage dealer that is snowballing out of control. And speaking of snowball, Kla, 40 stacks on the Sky Piercer.
You just have to bite what you can chew. Like, I do agree with the Force are a lot changing on the role. It would have been perfect if it was onto the XP, but gradually though, we might see some glimpse of hope here. And we mentioned onto the Golden Kla just doing everything that she can, landing all those Death Sonatas as well. Even the basic attacks is enough to tore down TLG. And as we mentioned, Mirko, there's just a lot going on for TLG. They have this plan in mind, but the moment that they saw, oh, TLPH adjusted, why not adjust our draft as well? But the thing is, if you're not ready with it, even though in paper it's beautiful because you manage to somewhat prevent some of the picks here for TLPH, but if it isn't what is part of your practice, you will be having a hard time, which is what's happening right now.
TLPH is stuck to their comfort picks, right? They didn't really go off far from what we expected. We're going to go back into the game right here with Ramisi already on the turtle and TLG with no angles of attack. At this point, they really are going to have to rely on YNY in the side lanes to continue to trade, continue to farm up to maybe give them a second life. At this point, I think Zaishi should just sell her Sky Piercer, right? Kla has 40 stacks. You're not going to out-execute Kla.
Maybe they're hitting two birds with one stone. Hitting two Sky Piercers with one team. But I do agree with you for the plan B here for TLG. It's just, YNY, just do what you can. collect all the farm that you can. But for TLPH, they have other things in mind. Of course, you're going to go onto the top lane, but onto the bottom side, there's going to be a clash.
Good final slash into the back. Now, the Brave Spider dodged away from by Cloud. Picks up a monster kill. Choke is locked down, has a dash from EC. Walks it forward, flowing blood. And it's a double for Cloud. Make it a triple again.
Oh, wow.
Claw on fire in game 1 of MWI.
Just proving you doubters, this is me on the international stage on our debut here for MWI. A great opener, a double triple kill, and we're only 8 minutes into the game, and that was a close call here. Good thing YNY was able to get home. But looking at their SEC replay here, we mentioned they have what it takes. You have their crowd control, but the damage just isn't damaging, especially with the Spear of Destruction, time and time again, not hitting anyone. And YNY just isn't there yet to give the damage that they need to totally focus on to touring down Kla here.
Absolutely phenomenal from Kla there. The spacing was amazing. Dodging away from all those skills, the flicker as well. Great display of mechanics, and obviously the macro part, again, that was... They are an amazing macro team, so if you give them a small lead at the start of the game, they know how to capitalize without getting kills. Yes, it's a very, very active, very aggressive game so far with a total of 16 kills. But you can really see the capitalization of Team Liquid and how they've actually been able to deny a lot of the trades from happening from Tidal Legends, who by all means, with the Moskov, should have been able to find way more.
But it's the opposite. They're finding dead ends actually here for their game. And Team Liquid, I think Ramisi has her turtle stuffed toy. Because according to an interview, whenever she has her turtle stuffed toy on her head, she believes it boosts her retribution skills.
Wow.
But not to really doubt that, because for TLG, they're just not contesting each and every objective after the first turtle.
Yeah.
They're just focusing on trying to breathe, trying to regain some freedom onto the lanes. But TLPH is not giving them any space at all. All the outer and inner turrets destroyed right now. Mirko is just a 10-minute mark, and the First Lord will be marching onto the bottom side, and all lanes are in favor of Team Liquid.
Yeah, it's not just that they don't want to contest, they literally just can't, right? Like Liquid, the amount of poke they have, that range from Zaishi and Kla, and even re-engages, they have so many tools to really tie up Tidal Legends Gaming. And this is concerning. Tidal Legends Gaming are coming in game 1 with their strengths. This is a Zetian that we've been waiting for Vermouth for the longest time. And now, TLPH are knocking on the doorstep of Tidal Legends Gaming.
It's like a TLPH should really prepare for that Zetian drop as well. And then we mentioned she's one of the strongest in the region and one of crowd favorites when using the Zetian as well. But looking at the damage dealt ranking, it's understandable. Kla with a double triple kill, and as well as Daiki onto the side.
Big time, but there's no follow-up. Their final slash onto 4. Bring him back now. YNY in the SOD gets it. Kizaki jumping back and forth with the Vengeance, but will fall to the bullets of Kla, who's looking for one more as YNY is able to flicker out. Lord still quite healthy now. 11 minutes in the game, the crystal wide open. Bay and Vermouth doing the best they can to provide space for YNY to clear it out. Lord down, but there's another wave in the mid lane.
There's going to be a 2-for-1 trade-off. Team Liquid just want to go for the clean route, but instead, for TLG, this isn't clean. They have to do something dirty, and there's going to be a traction balls connecting!
Big one to lock them down. Kla walks up, still able to space away. Kizaki looking for an angle to get a final slash, but TLPH just rotate over to the next best thing. 3 neutral objectives with the First Lord. Oh, sorry, 3 big structures, base turrets.
That's a huge cleanup here for Team Liquid. Meanwhile, for TLG, as you mentioned, this is their best picks, Mirko. This is one of their best choices, their aces up their sleeves. But for TLPH, Kla alone can deliver somewhat of a half HP deleted onto TLG. That's an 11-0-2 standing, or KDA, for this Granger. Speaking of which, looking at the gold distribution as well, a huge difference, by the way. Onto the turrets, we mentioned the 3 inhibitor turrets destroyed with Team Liquid. It is fairly early, but TLG is already struggling.
You can look at the gold distribution here, you know. Most of the gold for MWI has been through minions, kills and assists. A big contrast in how much Cloud has been able to get. I think at this point she's already fully stacked up on the Sky Piercer, so even more of a reason for Zaishi now to maybe sell that Sky Piercer. There ain't no way she's out executing an 80 stack Claw. Faye looking for an angle. They have frontliners, but the poke and the CC, it's just too much to deal with. And Tidal Legends, they can't even walk up. Chokes walks up again. Oh, Chain CC won't be able to survive. Cloud with 80 stacks, just dealing damage. Threading the needle on the Death Sonata, finding two to give the team a free Lord one more time.
And that's how you layer the Traction Pulse and even the AOG right now for Team Liquid. It's going to be a GG right now for TLG. That's the question. Can they defend?
3 shots and Vermouth goes down. Another one for Claw. No one can out-execute a 15-kill Granger with 80 stacks on Sky Piercer. We gotta stomp a statement victory in Game 1 from TLPH.
The newcomers just setting the standard here for or facing for the first ever match and game for MWI 2025. Coming in hot. They're the team to watch out for, especially after their newbie or rookie season here on MWI. There's no jitters, there's no nervousness at all here, Mirko.
Nope.
Just very confident, relaxed stance here. Even for Ramisi, just discussing, guys, are we done here? Is there anything we can improve more? You want more action?
Yep.
No, all smiles.
We expected them to maybe feel the pressure again, considering that the Philippines just won MWI in 2024. So having a second team come in, a lot of pressure for TLPH, at least we thought. But yeah, like you mentioned, Athena, it looks like it's just another day at the office for Team Liquid. They're looking calm, composed.
Yeah.
If it isn't visible here, you can just go and replay the game. That was as cold as can be. Team Liquid were flowing like water.
And that's just somehow something to look forward to, knowing that this is their first ever international on-site, and it's for MWI. I could just only imagine the amount of practice that they do every day because they're fairly a new team together, aside from Ramisi. But looking at the whole chemistry as a whole, it's like they're playing from their whole lives for a few months right now. Like a longer, like Navi PH.
Absolutely. It almost just feels like even Ramisi, the new player on the team, doesn't look like a new player. She fits perfectly.
Yeah, that's a perfect combination here for TLPH. But to break down the formation and what happened for game number 1, we're gonna throw it over to our panel.
Thank you very much, Mirko, as well as Athena. And I gotta say, there's a lot we gotta talk about. We gotta talk about the drafts, the plays, but let's talk about Claw. What an amazing debut.
Yeah, I think for Claw, she just enjoyed that game. I mean, 14... was that 14:02 or 15:02? 15:02, right? So
that's impressive.
I think it's just the chemistry, as mentioned by Athena earlier, that was really evident onto this game. But we could really think that for TLPH, they meant that their draft will work this way with the Alice, even Daiki's function onto this game. They're just playing like a liquid, very fluid.
And it's so crazy because, like they mentioned earlier on, right? This was a team that was formed this year.
Yep.
As compared to TLG, who's been around for years, right? So you wouldn't expect this kind of quality coming through. But I mean, I guess they were scrimming with their MDL male counterparts. So the in-game knowledge is definitely showing, and not to mention the macro knowledge that was shown. Because for a lot of inexperienced teams, we usually see kills after kills, which this was reflected as one, right? Very high kill game, but the fact that TLPH knew where to use it and what to take afterwards was very important. And I gotta say, it started in the drafts. The Kimmy was a big factor to things, how we're really were able to roll down and snowball from the early game to aid the Alice in the jungle, and also to aid Claw in the lane on the Granger, who technically has a better time against the Moskov.
A good thing you've mentioned about Zaishi's hero. Again, when we've mentioned about Kimi earlier, we said that they could work around in terms of the emblems, and with the Weapon Master, it made perfect sense for the rest of the heroes here for Team Liquid to actually penetrate early game against Tidal Legends Gaming because of the slow effect. So if you have continuous damage from the Kimi, you also have the taunt from Gatot, and even the slow also from Ramesses' hero, it was a lot easier for them to go in and be aggressive against Tidal Legends Gaming. And when we compare the hero composition for Tidal Legends Gaming, these are more like scaling heroes specifically for Moskov. It's really hard because Team Liquid kind of shifted mid-game, and it's not actually considered mid-game, it's still early game, wherein Kla is part of the team fight. You have a Daiki clearing the side lanes, and sometimes a jumps in for every team fight.
And we saw the damage graph just now. Look at how big the number that Kla generated in this game. So it's not just like just taking the kills. She's doing it herself. She's giving the damage and she's taking the kill. Now we gotta mention that this is the opening game of MWI, and talk about setting a statement, man. Like Team Look at her looking so strong, and I feel like that might have even surprised Tidal Legends Gaming. He's like, okay, I think we're strong enough, but then going up against Team Liquid was like, wait, hold up. That's a huge gap.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people from around the world were looking at the Filipino region and the fact that, okay, we're looking at two of these Filipino teams, but it's got to be Navi PH, right? Because they're the defending champs. But now, TLPH coming up on stage for the very first time does this. I do agree, it's a huge statement. So, Kla, double, triple kill. That's how much damage she was pumping out. And now we know that if Kla is given a winning lane, if she can snowball, that's going to be a big problem.
It's not fair anymore.
It isn't. It isn't.
The Sky Piercer was around 5 minutes in the game.
It was so quick.
And around 7 minutes, she is already at 5 kills on the Granger. And she was totally unstoppable during the game. And I think this is where it is evident that Ramesses is one of the key players for the team, because since she adjusted the function of the Alice, I mean, remember before we started the game or before we threw it to the casters, we were like, what is the Alice gonna do without any sustained hero, without the Angela? But the function here is, for Ramesses' hero, it was to be on the front lane, have Daiki use the vengeance while she is doing the blood ode, and then have Kla and even the rest of the players at the back just dealing damage against TLG.
Because the tricky thing about the Alice when it was meta, do you remember those days? I think it was like maybe was it a year ago?
I think that was a year
It was like
ago.
the Super Ken era. I think Mirko will attest to that, right? The tricky thing about the Alice is that it requires a lot of farm, in the early game. That's why we do see when it was Alice in the jungle that they would go to several different lanes to kind of just give all that
Funnel
gold.
towards
Exactly.
Alice, yeah.
Funnel towards the Alice. So how did you think that it went down?
Personally, for me, I kind of feel like we're actually looking at the basics here, where you just take away the farm of the other jungler. In fact, let's look at the jungle to jungle comparison to really see like what really went down, like in terms of the numbers in this game. Because I really feel like every single lane of Tidal Legends Gaming, they lost. And if you lose your lane, your jungle is not going to be safe.
Because it's weird, right? Because we're looking at a composition from TLPH who has Kimi in the mid lane. Technically, she needs the farm, right? So we're also looking at Granger in the gold lane who also needs farm. So let's take a look at the head-to-head. That is brutal, guys.
Look at the gold per minute. Ooh.
Yeah, very.
Talk about taking the farm out of your opponent's jungle.
Almost double.
It's like for Chokes here, the real struggle was, how can I possibly have those items to even counter out Ramesses up front and do the eruption and do the taunting if there is no farm for me? And if that's the case, it was just a short game. It means that the rest of the players of a TLG around that time didn't have the chance to actually farm.
The thing is, people keep talking about Fredrin. What's great about Fredrin is you don't need that much farm. But at the same time, you don't want to be that behind. Like there has to be a limit by how far you
at least
can
an
actually
item.
fall. At least just one item difference. But yeah, if we're looking at the movements here, it really does we can see apparently that Team Liquid, they always have the forward motion, forward momentum, so they can take whatever they want in the game.
Because earlier enough, we saw the jungler XP disparity and it wasn't that far, right? First Turtle, they were the ones... Well, Ramichi was actually the one to get picked off. TLPH were able to get the lore, but that was the Kimi picking it up. but I didn't expect things
How
to
did
go
Akimi even get the
so
Yeah.
badly in favor of TLPH, because I remember at minute number 10, it was what, a 4-level difference between the junglers?
So now actually I want to shift the conversation a little bit. We talk a lot about Team Liquid, but now I want to talk about Tidal Legends Gaming, because even during the cast, even Mirko said, I don't like that it's so honest, right? Early picking the Arlit as well as the Frederick, and then eventually having to pick up that Lapu Lapu. What do you think, Chantal? Do you think that they're too tunnel vision in their own thing, that they just don't have the answers to what Team Liquid was putting on the table?
Or it's more like they were too focused on trying to counter out the hero composition of a TLPH, that they were forced to take the Lapu up against heroes like Kimi and such. But it's going to be a hard time with the Lapu against the Kimi. But the thing here is, for TLG, I think they need a specific lane wherein whatever happens, it will win. And
It's got to be the gold.
gotta be the gold. Could be the EX lane, because we saw the difference earlier with the movements from Daiki and her counterpart. So yep, for TLG, a hero that has damage early game can also have sustain, but at the same time can deal more damage late game. Could be an EXP lane, could be a gold lane, but not leaning towards or doubling down on scaling heroes.
So I think in simple terms, they just need to go back to the fundamentals, right? They need to look at the lane matchups. They need to find a way to win at least one, right? So they know what their winning conditions are and what they need to play towards. Because looking at game number 1, what were they supposed to be working with, right? Moskov, early stages, doesn't really win against the Granger. If we look at the mid-trio rotations, Alice roams a lot quicker. Kimi is able to clear these lanes a lot faster. And if we're looking at the EXP lane as well, it's 50-50 skill matchup. So coming into the drafts, I think this is going to be very important to pay attention to.
For me, what I saw in the game, when both sides are losing, even the mid-trio is like, okay, where do we go? And they couldn't even move because the Kimi just suppressed their movement so much. But now we're jumping into the second game here. Looks like TLG will be the first pick. They're banning out the Farsa, Yusenshin, as well as the Hayabusa. And Team Liquid banning out that Boxia and no Uranus for this matchup.
Yeah, very specific for TLPH, since they're opening up the Zetian for them, and you don't want Zetian paired up or have a hero on the same team that is more on the sustain side. So I'm thinking for TLPH, they just don't want any hero that could slow down the pace early game, and now they ban out the 1-1 since okay, so they ban out the 1-1. It means that they are to get a hero that is always on front.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be a Mathilda, could be. For them, anything can happen for these ladies. And since they are on the blue side, TLG will pick Kimi.
Yeah, it's important to note that they swapped sides this time around, right? So now that the Kimi is in their hands, the big problem is because they banned out the Hayabusa, they couldn't force a YSS ban from red side. So now TLPH have the ability to pick that up if they're comfortable with it. Chantal, they have that, right? YSS in the jungle.
It's been banned.
It has been banned.
Oh,
yeah.
So what's the hero that's left open with the Haya ban?
Now they get the Zetian and even a Phoveus.
Oh, Phoveus. Phoveus is the one that's left open.
I think if left at the EXP lane, even though the Kimi was of a threat earlier in game number 1, it will have a hard time if the Phoveus will be on a good or winning side, even with the Vengeance. I think for TLPH, they could go and have Lancelot if it's not banned.
Agree. Yeah. The Lancelot, the Lings, there's still a few ways for you to get onto the back line. Right now, TLG, they open up with the Kimi. If they want to hide where this Kimi is going, I think picking up an early jungler before he gets banned out and maybe get a winning matchup against the Phoveus. One of the ones that I'm thinking about is the Hylos as well as CC, but both really are not priorities in the EXP lane right now. We can see that they're taking their time and they're picking up this Irithel, assuming that Team Liquid wants to pick up the Granger again.
I was about to say, I think I understand the intensity that is required and maybe the, what do you call it? The urgency, there you go. The urgency to pick up a counter towards the Phoveus, but I was really afraid of the gold lane matchup. So the Irithel being picked up here is nice. It's also a setting ground to see how things are going to be going. They want a winning lane against Kla, But we are still looking at heroes like the Moskov still who can find the power at some point alongside with the Bruno if that's something that they're comfortable with. But Kalea left open. And it's going to be debut pick for the Kalea here at MWI.
Actually, it's a pretty good answer from TLPH. It's as if they're forcing heroes from TLG. We have Kalea, you have to go and have Purify as your spell.
And the Irita really wants that sprint.
Yeah. So this is a very, very honest and the basic answer against this Irithel. So you don't also have the Fredrine for TLPH or for TLG rather because it was banned. I think because we all know that if you have a double marksman in your lineup, you need at least 2 up front as sustain heroes or even as jungle.
So it's still something that they're considering here. Coming to the second phase, we do see that the Fredrin gets banned out. TLG have yet to pick up a jungle with the Fredrin ban. Could this be a Joy pick? Is it still a viable choice in this meta?
Could be a Joy, could be a Lancelot, something like that, but Joy has been banned.
Well, there you go.
Yep, Joy has been banned out. And I kind of feel like TLPH with their opener, they're spoiled with choice. At this point, even if they want to pick up something crazy, like say a Hellcurt or something, I feel like they can make it work because they already have a lot of control here.
Hellcurt jungle?
Yeah, they can.
I'm not saying it's a meta pick, but I'm like emphasizing how good their opening is. Any hero should be fine. If you get the Lancelot Grey, you get the Link Grey. There's nothing else, sure. Saber, Hellcurt, why not, you know?
No Saber, please.
It's a emphasis.
That
Shout
they
out
can
Wolf.
pull off. Yeah. Shout out Wolf, yeah. Saber. Anyway, with this,
remain.
Lean towards the banning. So they ban out the Lancelot. I was just saying that it's actually nice for their heroes. So I think for TLG, they need heroes that could actually burst. Or no. They already have the Kimi. Sorry, I forgot it. That it could be on the middle lane as a jungle. Could be an alpha actually.
Are they setting up for another Alice?
No, honestly, like in this game, I feel like TLG, whatever jungle pick that is available, is going to be very difficult going up against the Zitian. Because as long as her passive is up, I feel like every other jungler that's open right now, you know, the fighters, the tanks, the moment you get close, you're going to get pushed back, and then that's just going to disrupt your formation.
It's interesting that they banned the Granger here for TLAG, right? Because we were discussing about the
You got respect,
Irithel
man.
early
15
pick.
kills.
Right.
Just got respect.
Okay.
Oh, for that, they still have other options. Is that what you're saying? They have Moskov still. Actually, even Harith could be an option here.
Ooh, I don't like Harith.
Carry, yeah. Although if they get the Harith, they are doubling down on the magic damage. So
Me neither.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's too late game. Oh my god.
Oh, okay. I mean, just like you said that it can pull.
Yeah. Caster curse. Man, Coach Booty.
I think they heard they don't. Two casters at the studio doesn't like Harith, then we pull over Harith.
That's a statement. I mean, if they win with this.
Yeah, that's clearly a statement.
Scythe, but it is what is it, you know?
But again, for TLPH, this is just too much magic damage for them.
No such thing. I believe there's no such thing as too much magic damage. Because magic defense sucks.
I agree.
So you can just burst anyone out. It doesn't matter.
But this means that they need a little bit more time to get to that power spike, right?
Yeah.
Harith in the gold lane needs at least the Holy Crystal down, and then if they want Divine Glaive. Well, I mean, we're talking about teams playing with their own flavor of MLBB, especially in MWI. So, a Kai in the jungle.
Although it's gonna be crucial, yes, it could be a good counter against a Harith or even the other players and heroes of TLPH. It's just that if it misses that heavy spin, then it means the next crowd control that they have is gonna be the AOG, and you don't want the other heroes exposed for TLG.
I mean, they have Traction Pulse to kind of fall onto, right? We saw that being a really big utility usage.
What if
number
Traction
one.
Pulse and Makai pushes them away? I mean, what if?
There is a possibility. These interactions could be weird, but Speaking of weird,
Suyo, yeah.
Suyo in the jungle, we haven't seen that in so long.
This is like so last patch,
Yeah.
right?
Are we sure that this is...
I mean, like, to be fair, Suyo did nerf on the magic resistance. Looking at Kimi is very powerful, but other than that, you don't really have to worry about much. Anyways, thank you very much for you ladies, but now we gotta throw it over to Mirko and Athena.
Thank you so much, Paddle. And you're right, with the Suyo pick, somewhat of a surprise, but you've mentioned that with TLPH, they're capable of picking any jungler for Ramisi. What we're going in here for the game number 2, it's going to be Athena and Mirko again here for the action for game number 2. 1-0 current score in favor of TLPH.
1-0 into the Lanadon we go. Yeah, it really just seems like this is a previous patch draft, you know? It's a Harith, Kalea, Suyo, Phobius. It's like watching the MPL Indonesia Season 15 playoffs all over again. But we do have confirmation this is a new patch because there's just a 10 on the side of TLPH. And
okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure that we are on the same timeline, right?
Making sure.
Yeah, and especially with the Akai, interesting, in my opinion, here, Akai jungler pick here for TLG. We've seen this numerous metas ago, but still, there's a possibility of them just overloading onto the crowd controls here for TLPH. And TLPH, by the way, just needs one more win to secure this match. This is best of 3 series. But looking forward onto what TLG has to offer here, some of the picks from the blue side Earth for TLPH is what TLG has to offer as well with Kimi and Gatatkacha.
Blade Surge already, now going for the back. Soju, not going to commit the flicker. Alkenzaki getting poked down by Zaishi. And this is the advantage you have, at least for the Suyo, especially after seeing the Akai. Now, the Akai pick, yes, it is very interesting. Really depends on how you say interesting. Because if you say interesting as a caster in a weird tone, that means you don't like it, right? And
I'm sorry.
I agree with you. It is interesting.
Yeah.
Your clear speed is so bad, and that's why the Suyo pick gets elevated even more. You're so quick with a jungle clear. You're going to be able to force out these big heavy spins. There you go. Blade Surge already. Heavy spin baited before the turtle spawns. And right now, it's looking perfect for Team Liquid to set up for neutral objective 1. No heavy spin.
And you're like a fortune teller. It's exactly how you sold it, and then that's what's happened onto the top lane. And as you mentioned, onto the first turtle, you would want more action, more denial for TLG, but they're the ones being denied even access to the turtle. Chokes is being pushed around here by Daiki.
Yeah, free one. Oh, big ult as well. 3-man stun coming down as Daiki still survives. There's some sustain over. Then just use a 3-man Dark Wave. Infernal Pursuit to the back. That's first blood into the Tsunami Slam. Ramisi picks up a kill. Oh, man. TL, they're flowing like water, just like in game 2. And even in the bottom lane, Harith winning in the lane. Yinhuai getting bullied. Ramisi, Blade Surge over Soul Sever. Doesn't want to charge up the arrow.
Team Liquid has a solid foundation. And initiation, as you mentioned, the 4 alone is enough. But just imagine if Kla just joins them onto the next clashes for the second and third turtle. Now TLG. The plan was what? Disrupt them onto their formation. But what's happening is that we're not seeing more of an action here for the Akai. And we need to highlight that, Mirko. Especially when we said it's interesting. But sometimes interesting is not what you want if you want a more capable, comfortable attack here against TLPH. And you're right. Some things are just favoring Team TLPH right now.
You gotta be more decisive when you do the interesting. You don't like it. Kenzaki on the bad spot, forced to use it. Oh, Chokes again. Might it be forced to use the heavy spin? And yes, it does. Good chain CC though. Chokes just goes for the disengage, and again, so much tempo relieved. Now Blade Surge from the side, they get the kill, Kenzaki! Now in the midst of it all, has the AOG, decides to go in! Good curtain call, locks him down, Daiki, a little bit too deep, but gets away with the Infernal Pursuit! And now Ramisi, can he get the color? Boom! Doesn't get it on Bay though, Vermouth and Bay surviving.
Okay, now we're seeing some action for TLG. There's a chase down. Bay and Vermouth will be able to get out. And Ramisi just flexing her aura here. What you gonna do? What can you do? But Kla here on the middle side. Going in for the head of Chokes.
The Panda just got back. She just spawned in the game and she's forced to recall again.
I just got back. I want to play the game. I want to go for the damage. Speaking of which, TLPH was actually caught off guard there. They just committed too much onto chokes alone.
Absolutely.
The TLG managed to somehow pick off 2 members off. And speaking of which, picking up the purple and YNY versus Kla.
1v1 in the bottom lane. This should be a solo kill. Kla, one more hit, doesn't land a synchro vision. Ramisi can be chain CC'd by the heavy spin. Kenzaki picks up the kill. Soju will be forced to dash away, but doesn't get the wall, so won't be able to get the second part because Chokes gets another 4-4, an equalizer on the board for TLG.
Yeah, and that's what you want if you're TLG. More to the next year for Team Liquid. Very nice touch though, with a body slam as well from Chokes.
Yep.
And that's what you want if you want an Aka, even onto the roam or jungle. You want to stay in your place, just provide sustain as much as you can, be the body blocker here for TLJ. Looking at the gold difference, you could definitely see still onto the gold lane a huge difference here for Kla versus YNY.
You still have to be careful though, right? Like Team Liquid, you have a big lead right now coming into minute number 5. But doesn't mean that Tidal Legends Gaming don't have anything to play with. The heavy spin is a great tool to, again, be able to lock someone down. And Vermouth, her traction pulses have actually been a great help to TLG to get Chokes into a position to get the heavy spin.
Exactly.
TLPH going for the rotation now, bot.
Compared to game 1, actually, TLG has a nicer game plan here. It's much more easy to execute, especially when you mentioned the traction pulls. But Chokes here with a heavy spin, hitting Daiki, going in for the jump. It's going to be the Dark Wave. Kenzaki going out.
Good stun. Daiki though goes in for flicker out, but gets caught with the current call. Tied up now. Kla in the midst of it all. Zaman Force gets away out of the AOG. The mid lane gets cleared out too, and Ramisi gets a turret up top. So it ends up being, I'd say, pretty worth it for TLPH.
Even though there was a one takedown for TLPH targeting objectives. Oh, hit the Curious bot zone. Zaishi's down.
Soju 1 HP, TLG back at it again, this time turning the tides. Just forcing TLPH into skirmishes. Having forced it out already, now this becomes a free turtle over to TLG, who are finally, after 2 games on the board, that's their first turtle in the series.
And that's going to be somewhat of a huge advantage here for TLG, especially onto the facing. They could get an outer turret onto the top lane, but TLPH just isn't giving any space at all. And you've mentioned this is a different persona here for TLG. They're already woken up. Looking at the item as well, so far you have somewhat of an ass claw here for YNY, so you could definitely feel the damage. Speak of damage,
Bot turns it around in the back again. Doesn't get the synchro vision. Pops in a Purify, but will be taken out, I believe. Chrono Dash one more time. YNY gets the range with the heavy crossbow shots. Gets the pick. Daiki still wants to go for the chase. Jumps on him. Dark Wave landing on YNY now in the front of pursuit as well. Ramisi from the side, able to get the blade surge down, and the soul sever. Daiki is not a fighter on the phobia. She's an assassin. Finds one on the MM. Mid lane turret going down. They're going for more. Blade surge over to Bay with a soul sever tap this time. A few shots in, but the Queller won't be able to land on Bay.
That's a heavy clash here for TLPH. Just trying to not equalize, getting the most out of it. Eliminating the turret onto mid lane and somehow reaching onto the back lane or damage dealers here for TLG. It started off here on their instant replay on where Daiki, you mentioned, is not a fighter.
Yep.
She's an assassin. She just sees blood every time she sees YNY and Bay, and that's what you want to target. That is who you want to shut down. And Team Liquid actually paved off with that kind of sacrifice play.
Yeah, it was big in the end. Team Liquid back to where they started off, at least when it comes to the lead, right? Right before they lost it in a big fight in the mid lane.
Yeah.
That's how you need to play it. You have to try to bait Tidal Legends Gaming to use those big resources first. Once you see the heavy spin used up, you can actually reset back again. Then you look for the fight, the re-engage when you see the angle. Still, even though Chokes doesn't have heavy spin, you can't just dive into the front. Remember, Vermouth and YNY at this stage are going to deal a lot of damage. They've got the items.
And that's why we could definitely see Daiki targeting them, trying to find a way to give info that they're here, they're hiding here onto the long bush. But for TLPH, now they're worried that TLG is woken up. They know what it takes. You just need to reserve that heavy spin here for chokes. And as we mentioned for TLPH, compared to game number 1, getting objective or securing their roots here isn't as easy as game number 1. Okay, they're targeting the first ever Lord. Hiding here on the bush is Daiki and Soju. Claswell, you're going to be chased down by chokes.
Oh, they baited out the heavy spin already with the few flickers. That's the re-engage potential. Blade surge! The capitalization, instant punishment into the back. Daiki with the infernal pursuit. Chokes very low. They're going to go for Yinhuai, who's caught in the middle of the fight. And now, with a blade surge, they get it done. 3-4-0. Masterfully done by Team Liquid.
And that is how you do it. Just bait the heavy spin, and the rest follows. It's as you mentioned, a full PowerPoint presentation here. If you're a visual learner, that's how you do it. That's how you counter TLG. Looking at their instant replay, without the heavy spin, there wasn't anyone to push off the members of TLPH. And even Soju right now, just delivering each and every Tidal strike and even Tsunami Slam, handing the targets with a silver platter for Ramisi and friends.
It was so good. And for TLG, it seems like their honesty in the draft has also been reflected here in the game. They're very honest in the way they want to go for pickoffs. Once you see a traction pulse, almost 100% of the time they'll go for the full initiation. The curtain call comes in. Oh, Saichi, despite the flicker, still gets caught in the back, finding it. Ramisi looking for the blade surge, won't be able to find it. Kla pinned down to the wall. And now it's Soju who's left all alone, gunned down. Or rather, now shot down by Yinhuai.
4 women down. And that's the layer that you want. That's the chain CC for TLG. That's the strength of their lineup. We've mentioned just one traction pulse, hitting one member for TLPH, and that's it. You just need one good AOG angle, and the rest will just give that much damage. And that is what happened. Ramisi is the only woman left here, but for TLPH, they need to be very careful in terms of just picking up or going onto the front lines. Ramisi being targeted, team members chasing her down.
When you're on a Suyo, you're never overextending. You got 2 flickers built in your kit, technically, with the Blade Surge and the Queller. Depends on how you use it.
You're a Girl Scout.
Yeah, she truly is on the Suyo here. And it's funny to say that I was legit talking about the honesty of Tidal Legends, and then they brutally honestly just initiated on a Team Liquid who were caught off guard by the honesty. Even they were surprised, like, wait, you guys are actually going on? Well, okay. We don't know how to react to this. TLPH, they gotta start reading into the honesty of Tidal Legends, right? Once you throw a traction pulse, there's a 90% chance they just go all in.
You have to take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, and for TLG or Tidal Legends,
See, that's a bit too honest.
Sometimes you have to be very careful, not really revealing, as you mentioned. That's too honest. So right now for TLPH, they could go for a kill. They could jump in, especially Ramisi here with that much needed damage. They're just playing the waiting game, but no more waiting. Oh!
Exactly. Tsunami's MLBB has a vengeance. Oh, what a big stun! Now with the Zaman Force, it's going to be the damage coming through with the Kono dashes into the back choke. Still no heavy spin. Ramisi gets away with the Queller. Now gets a double kill. Vermouth and Yinhuai still safe in the back of Spay. Axes the front line. Daiki with a flicker forward, finding the shoulder bash. Ramisi gets a triple. 3-1, Team Liquid finding a big fight to turn things around once again.
Wow! Ramisi for 3. And we've mentioned, when you're too honest, you're going to be very vulnerable.
Sometimes you gotta lie.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta lie. And with that, they reached so far with what they have.
Nice.
And especially cornering most of the members here. You see Chokes here just trying to sustain as much as she can, just so Bay and even Vermouth and Yinhuai could deliver the free hit, but that isn't happening. If you're too close to Daiki, she will just eat you whole, like without any chewing. She'll just swallow you whole. And TLPH right now, yes, we've seen some glimpse of what they can do if they just wait for the heavy spin to be used here by Chokes. Looking at kill score, it's 13-13, but looking at the overall situation onto the map, it's still TLPH's game.
Yeah, it truly is. There's so much more tempo on the map, and that's just because of the small wins they've been able to get.
Yeah.
The capitalization, that's what we've been bringing out for TLP, their macro game. Every time they get a win, there you go, Chokes walks up again, a bit too honest and gets punished for it.
Oh no!
Chokes gotta learn how to lie, man. She's gotta learn.
And you just have to be strong enough to resist the temptation to use your heavy spin. But we understand she has no choice. She has to defend, she has to exit, and now that's how you do it.
Zaman
we will
force
fill in.
into the back, still a lot of damage. Claw almost sealing with Yinhuai low, but she gets the fadeaway instead with the heavy crossbow. The GDS now built up for Muth, pulling the Lord over to the mid lane, taking away the pressure off of the Crystal. You know what? TLG, even though we've been talking about how they should lie more, one traction pulse and they went in and they won the fight again. So, you know, maybe they need to be honest in the right way. Wait for the traction pulse. Curtain call
You
though on
just
Zaishi.
have to somehow
Bye-bye, Zaishi.
fill in the puzzles that are missing. You don't need to somehow tunnel your vision onto the heavy spin alone.
Yeah.
You could compromise and just Kenzaki, Vermont, could you do something like attraction pulse, maybe catching 2 to 3 members? Oh, no problem. No problem, Chokes. We could definitely do it. And for Team Liquid, as I mentioned, even though the map control earlier was onto their side, but still with that glimpse of traction pulse hitting onto the crucial members, especially Zaishi, this is somehow a masterful play here for Tidal Legends Gaming. And looking at the item as well, this is what we're talking about. They just need time. They just need to farm up. And now, well-formed Yinhuai, by the way.
Very
Even
well
with a
formed.
great Dragon Spear.
GDS into the Rose Gold Meteor last Oh. Okay, they gotta learn from that though, really. Chokes has been finding, or have been looking to find a lot of
Maybe
big
it's a
plays.
decoy.
Maybe she is the decoy. Maybe it sets up for that traction pulse that has been landing to take this game to the 60th minute. But I think it's better, Chokes, if, you know, wait for the traction pulse first and then the heavy spin. You know, at this point, I think it's a better peeling tool than it is an engage tool.
Yeah.
Just use it to peel, you know? You have a solid backline. Sometimes you don't need to engage to win the game, and she doesn't have heavy spin. Tsunami slamming the collapse over to Chokes, but they actually don't want to go for it all the way. Now Sun over as well. Chokes super tanky, will be taken down. That's a godlike Ramisi in the back. The AOG lands. Zaishi, no, flickers out of it, and Ramisi is able to get a bit more sustain from the green. Kamaton not landing from Kenzaki, and TL walk away with a solid pick, just to panda down.
And as you've mentioned, you want to somehow be the pillar of your Chokes with the heavy spin, and without the heavy spin, you're just a target. You have a painted target on your back. And TLP on the other hand, that was a very nice dodge here for Zaishi. She is very needed when it comes to the crowd controls for team fights. And now they're contesting the third Lord for this round. Sojo onto the middle, choicing out.
Jump to the back now. Again, Bay with the vengeance, still getting taken out. Yinhuai, look at the heavy crossbow, able to find it now. Zaman force over from Claws. Daiki gets a kill. Winter Crowns being bought with immortalities. Yinhuai running the wrong way. Can she make an outplay happen? The Queller lands. Claw walks up with a Chrono Dash, and it's a big shutdown over to Claws. Daiki sets up for the game-winning push.
That's going to be a very nice cleanup here for TLP. Only movement left here, Chokes for the defense. Going for the Tsunami Slam here for Soju. The rest of TLP just eyeing their sights onto the Crystal. An open base of TLG.
She can delay the inevitable, but it truly is inevitable here. 2-0 to Team Liquid. TLG are going to be dropped down in this GSL format.
A very great play here for TLPH. What an opener. They're not rookies at all, Mirko.
No, doesn't look like it.
Yeah, and even Ramisi leading the team onto the victory. All of them just carried the game as well. Props to all the members, especially onto Kla as well, onto Gold. Just doing a great job and picking up the Zetian as well.